My guest tonight is a husband, father, military veteran, and activist. He has 3 dogs, 2 kids, and lives in Southern California. He is also the Duke of Sussex. Please welcome to the Late Show, Prince Harry. Music you cheering go. This is fair, that's despair, that's fair. Yeah, exactly. Cheering exactly. Prince Harry entered the Late Show studio that evening anticipating a routine discussion focused on mental health awareness. Instead, he encountered 18 minutes of intense psychological confrontation that none of the people present would ever be able to forget. Stephen Colbert began the segment in a seemingly friendly manner, although regular viewers of his program would have detected the sharp undertone hidden beneath the surface charm. He inquired whether Harry and Meghan had converted their personal hardships into a lucrative business venture. He highlighted the Netflix agreements, the Spotify deal, and the autobiography filled with intimate family revelations. Harry maintained his position, responding with skilled poise, but Colbert had no interest in allowing that poise to stand. He pressed further, charging Harry with desperately seeking the same kind of media spotlight that he routinely criticized in public. You cannot portray yourself as a victim while simultaneously pursuing the cameras, Colbert stated directly. Harry countered, insisting that his detractors completely failed to grasp what he and Meghan were attempting to create. He emphasized that their efforts had never centered on financial gain. They were about connecting with individuals enduring identical struggles they had overcome, people who lacked other options and had no one else willing to discuss their experiences with candor. The audience began to stir uncomfortably in their seats. An unmistakable shift was occurring within the studio atmosphere. Then Colbert brought up the Queen. He asked Harry how a monarch who had dedicated 70 years to public service without ever voicing a single personal complaint in public would react to seeing her own grandson profit from the family's internal troubles. The audience let out an audible gasp. Harry's poise did not simply falter, it shattered entirely. His voice lowered to a quiet yet threatening tone. "Don't bring my grandmother into this," he cautioned. "You didn't know her. You have no right to speculate about what she would think." Colbert remained unfazed. He informed Harry that the Queen embodied all the principles he had abandoned: duty, restraint, and prioritizing service above personal interests. That direct comparison struck with tangible force. Harry clutched the arms of his chair and responded forcefully, recalling to Colbert that he had completed 2 deployments in Afghanistan, while the host remained stateside creating jokes at the expense of public figures. He questioned what Colbert had truly accomplished beyond dismantling individuals for the sake of entertainment. He asserted that at least the initiatives he pursued aimed to improve the world, rather than merely destroying existing structures for the amusement of a live studio crowd. Colbert chuckled. It was a cold, calculated sound. He said he posed the tough questions that influential people preferred to avoid, such as why a person who claims to desire privacy has dedicated 3 straight years to generating media attention. Like why an individual who frequently discusses safeguarding mental health appears at ease with disrupting his own family's harmony in the meantime. The hypocrisy, Colbert contended, was not hidden. It formed the complete basis of Harry's public persona, and every viewer could recognize it plainly, even if Harry chose not to acknowledge it. The studio grew so hushed that the faint buzz of the technical equipment became audible. Harry rose to his feet. His posture had entirely ceased being suitable for television. He declared to Colbert that this amounted to harassment, that this sort of aggressive pursuit mirrored the pressures that had ruined his mother. The name Diana fell into the space with explosive impact. For a fleeting instant, even Colbert appeared to acknowledge the gravity of it. Then he leaned in and continued the assault regardless, proposing that Harry was employing Diana as protection, invoking her memory each time scrutiny came too near the truth. "She died in a car accident," Colbert remarked, "not from press coverage." What occurred afterward astonished every single person watching. Harry's face drained of all color before turning a vivid crimson. He stated that Colbert had no authority to downplay what had happened to her. That relaxing in a comfortable seat while building a profession on the suffering of others did not grant him permission to instruct Harry on the proper way to mourn his own mother. That certain tragedies never fully mend. They simply transform into burdens one learns to bear. And no talk show host has the power to determine the appropriate manner of carrying that weight. Colbert responded that he was not dictating Harry's grieving process. He was highlighting the contrast between authentic hardship and constructed victim status. Diana endured genuine violations. Harry, he maintained, actively sought it out repeatedly and then protested when the resulting stories were unflattering. The difference, Colbert stressed, represented something Harry had never been prepared to face with sincerity. Then Colbert uttered words that violated every boundary left intact. He informed Harry that he resembled his father, frail, privileged, incapable of handling any form of critique. The distinction, he noted, was that Charles had at least delayed revealing his authentic nature until he ascended to the throne. Harry's hands clenched into fists. His voice emerged as little more than a whisper, yet it resonated throughout the entire studio. "What did you just say to me?" Colbert repeated the statement and elaborated that Harry's outburst had commenced while the Queen was still living, whereas Charles had possessed the propriety to wait. Harry told him he was perched in an ivory tower passing judgment on lives he could never truly comprehend. Colbert retorted that Harry had received every advantage imaginable, exchanged them for a celebrity existence in Hollywood, and had devoted years to lamenting the very exchange he had willingly chosen. He referenced William, who continued to fulfill his responsibilities, remained committed, and avoided any scandals. The comparison sparked the culmination of everything the exchange had been building toward within Harry. "Don't bring my brother into this," Harry declared, his tone escalating. Colbert responded without hesitation. If the bond was genuinely as strong as Harry described, where was William now? Why the absence of support when the accusations of racism emerged? Why no visible backing during the moments it counted most? Harry labeled him a pitiful imitation of a journalist. An individual who hides behind humor as protection so he can voice statements that would ruin him in any different setting. A coward who targets people during their most vulnerable periods and brands it as meaningful critique. Colbert told him he had commercialized emotional fragility more effectively than any other person currently living, that the pain had evolved into merchandise wrapped and marketed with remarkable skill. Harry struck his hand against the desk with sufficient force to make the coffee mug leap and spill its contents across everything below. He said he had arrived expecting a true professional. Instead, he had discovered a tormentor, that this was not journalism, this was pure cruelty. The term settled over the studio like a final judgment, and not a single person present appeared ready to challenge it. He tore off his microphone. The resulting feedback shrieked loudly through the sound system. He addressed the studio, the cameras, and all viewers by stating that this exact scene exemplified what had rendered their existence intolerable, that Colbert personified everything dysfunctional about contemporary media. Then he pivoted and began to leave. Colbert shouted after him, "Running again, Harry, like you ran from your duties, like you ran from your family." Harry paused, turned around one last time. He said the contrast between them was straightforward. When he encountered someone in distress, he attempted to assist them. When Colbert encountered someone in distress, he struck them down and labeled it entertainment. History, Harry declared, would recall which position each of them occupied on that divide, and no quantity of viewership numbers or audience approval would alter the honest account of that legacy once it was recorded accurately. He turned once more toward the exit. Colbert refused to allow the moment to conclude. He called out across the studio, instructing Harry to pass along his greetings to Meghan, proposing she'd possess excellent content for the subsequent Netflix production. Harry halted again. His hand already rested on the door. He turned back one final time, and his voice emerged entirely composed in a manner far more disturbing than the previous fury had been. "You just made the biggest mistake of your career. This conversation is not over. The doors closed." The room remained frozen. The audience sat enveloped in the profound silence that arrives after an event that cannot be reversed. Colbert remained standing behind his desk, still displaying traces of a smirk but clearly rattled underneath the facade. His efforts to laugh off the consequences fell completely flat. The jokes emerged weak and empty, resembling a person pretending to possess assurance he no longer held. Individuals were already grabbing their phones, recording footage, distributing what they had just observed to anyone willing to view it. Within hours, it spread across every platform. Sponsors started withdrawing support. Celebrities canceled scheduled appearances. The hashtag exploded worldwide. Mental health supporters and royal analysts and competing hosts all contributed their perspectives, and the overall judgment was almost entirely consistent. Colbert had ventured into territory a late-night television personality should never enter. And Harry, who departed the stage appearing like a man driven beyond all endurance, emerged with greater public compassion than he had achieved in years. The Late Show's viewership numbers dropped to their lowest levels in quite some time. And the question that kept arising was the identical one for which nobody possessed a straightforward response. Where precisely does demanding accountability conclude? And where does cruelty begin?